Okay, we have so much going on in the news today. We've got a presidential debate coming up. We've got potential World War III. We've got all kinds of scandals coming out of the White House. To help me go through all of that, I have Chanel Rion with me. Chanel, thank you so much for joining me.
Stephen, thank you for having me on.
So just so my audience has some background, you are the former chief White House correspondent. You're a writer, you're a journalist over on OAN. You're someone I used to watch until the Twitter files revealed that you had been targeted, suppressed, purged from Twitter. And I'm glad that you are back and we're able to connect. I want to hit on a big story right now. Over the weekend, a bombshell revelation came out that would have saved the American taxpayer $40 million, President Donald Trump's reputation, this ugly divide in American politics. It came out through a lawsuit in London, England, that Trump-hating Paul Ryan, the former Speaker of the House, had in his possession the entire time the fake Russian dossier paid for and created by Hillary Clinton, yet he kept this a secret for 8 years in order to embarrass Trump, cause division, get himself a massive compensation package on the Fox News board. What are your thoughts about him withholding this in order to ruin Donald Trump?
Paul Ryan has a whole host of personality issues. First off, he's married to a Democrat, and it was very clear early on that he was very jealous of Donald Trump and the America First movement, and he's in that dying breed of Republicans. And this may even go further than the Lincoln Project, where they have made their bread and butter on a very set system in Washington, and the America First movement came in and crashed that entire system and ruined the piggy bank for guys like Paul Ryan. So Paul Ryan not only is jealous of the kind of meteoric rise that Trump ushered in with the America First movement, he's also sour that it has forever altered the landscape of the Republican Party. And there's just a whole host of personal issues that are behind that story too. But I want to also highlight the fact that this is coming out of England. I have done countless stories that have tracked how our intelligence, the US intelligence apparatus, frequently launders illegal activity here in the United States through England. What we can't do here in the United States, we export to England, and we have our partners over there execute. And case in point, just recently, we saw headlines about, not even headlines, a story about Nina Jankowicz, remember the woman who was supposed to be in charge of the Ministry of Disinformation at DHS? She obviously did not keep that job at DHS, but she didn't disappear. Just like Paul Ryan doesn't disappear, they just relocate. And they relocated to England. They hired her over there. A firm hired her to help develop this disinformation program and software. And what happens is, what we can't do here, what the government can't get away with here, they export to places like London, to places like England, where we have solid intelligence partners. And they develop programs, they develop software that is clearly illegal in the United States. And from there, they set up a whole system, they get it adapted by a few companies over there, and then they send it back over here to the United States. And they say, look, no, this has been used by the EU, this has been used by XYZ companies, this is an established company, this isn't a software, this is a technology, you guys should adapt. So I bring all that up because the fact that this is all coming out of England is not surprising, because England is a laundering operation for all the crap that the intelligence community in the United States can't get away with. They send it over to England.
Interesting. Okay, so send it to the partners, let them break the news, and then we get surprised by it, right? Like when Biden said, "Oh, I found out about the raid on Mar-a-Lago from the news, just like everyone else. Give me a break," right? Like we know that is an absolute lie among many. You had written on your Twitter feed that most Americans don't know this, but the money that is being, I call it stolen from us It's going places we don't want. But any money and weapons that are sent over to Zelensky, they have to be in cash. You also mentioned that Zelensky and Ukraine have this kill list. I know you were on the Twitter kill list, but I'm personally on the Zelensky kill list. Could you tell us more? Yeah, what a great honor, right? Could you tell us more about how they take our tax dollars and then they send them over in cash, and then anything else you know about that kill list?
Look, so OAN is actually on that list as well, and we have a whole host of conservative voices that have been placed on that list, not for any particular crime, except to question where this money is going. And in the eyes of the Zelensky administration, that's an offense that results in blood on the hands of American people who are sending Ukrainians to die at the hands of Russians. That's not true. And the problem with the PR that has surrounded Zelensky is they can't get around the fact that the money and the aid that we send over cannot be wired over. We don't send a bank wire and then, or we don't write a check. We have to send actual cash. We have to send physical cash to Ukraine because their banking system is so is in shambles. That's their excuse anyway. I mean, given all the money they've processed, surely they could get some kind of banking system in place to actually be able to receive the kind of aid that we're sending. And the other thing is we can only send equipment. So equipment and cash, physical cash. This to a country that has been on the most corrupt countries list, the top 5, for years, many years. It is an infamously corrupt place. And so when you have an infamously corrupt place, you've got a catastrophe like a war zone happening on a daily basis. The ability to hide money, to send cash to places that it's not supposed to go is made infinitely easier. And the fact that you're on this so-called kill list because you're asking, where is this money going? Can we find a way to track where this money goes? Is an offense that means you have blood on your hands. And that's the kind of PR that they're spinning. They're skipping over the fact that this is a corrupt country. They're skipping over the fact that we have to send actual cash because they don't have an infrastructure to receive it any other way. And I had a source go inside a DC conference talking about Ukrainian defense. They brought in all these contractors, and my source came back and said it was shocking because the way it's working in Ukraine, US contractors are not allowed to work inside Ukraine. It has to be farmed out. All our expertise, everything needs to be given to Ukrainian contractors who don't know anything about what they're doing. They're just taking the money. But now they're begging the United States for expertise, and they're begging US contractors for help. And it shows that we're sending money to people who don't really know what to do with the money, who have a tendency to make money disappear in places that they're not supposed to disappear to. And it's just a gigantic smokescreen for a whole host of problems that have been happening for many years, by the way. Both sides of the political aisle have benefited from Ukraine, but that's a whole different story. At the end of the day, we have money, it's going to Ukraine, it's not being tracked. We cannot track it. They're using the war as an excuse to not track it. And if you question that, you are a war criminal.
I don't know why they don't just send it through Venmo. Then the IRS will know any transaction over $600, right? Like, come on, it's not that hard to track that. If something isn't being tracked these days, it's because they don't want it to be tracked, just like you said. So they are purposely turning a blind eye.
Stephen, keep in mind, remember when the Pentagon was undergoing their audit. They misplaced tens of billions of dollars, and it was just sorry, we don't know where the money went. Oh, well, give us more money for next year, please. And if you don't give us more money, America is going to disintegrate and die. And this is, I think, the inevitable result. This is not even about political discourse. This is not about right or left. This is about what inevitably happens when a bureaucracy gets so big that a lot of unethical people can get away with a lot and hide inside the size of the administration or the bureaucracy that they're operating in. The Pentagon is a prime example. Wasting dollars. I know there's a few congressmen, heroic congressmen, who have held up bags of bolts, saying like, this bolt costs us $1,000. It should not cost $1,000. But again, it's illustrative of the fact that you can hide a lot when the bureaucracy is big and it's lugubrious and it's complicated, and lots of people end up making money that they're not supposed to.
Yeah. It's DC now has interest to protect itself. It doesn't want to go away. These NGOs that are helping with the invasion of America, they don't want to step away. There's just so much money flowing, and people just like, corrupt or not, all you have to do is stick your hand out and like money falls into it, because the government's just giving away so much of it. Speaking of infamously corrupt places, New York, former Governor Andrew Cuomo was on the Bill Maher HBO show this weekend, and he said that it was his opinion that Alvin Bragg had made a huge mistake coming after Donald Trump, and that he would have never prosecuted such a weak and silly misdemeanor if it had been anyone other than Donald J. Trump. What are your thoughts on Andrew Cuomo's words?
That's the Cuomo turnaround. There's a handful of high-profile Democrats who are turning around, right? Because they have to, in order to not stand on the wrong side of history. Cuomo's one of those people. He's looking at the writing on the wall and he's saying, this is clearly going to be used against the Democrats if we endorse it here. This is going to be a new Pandora's box that has been unlocked. We're fighting like this. The right will end up fighting against us this way too. And this will be a complete disintegration of our American justice system. It'll be a disaster. And he's one of the few people who are openly talking about it, but behind the scenes, there's many more like him, many more who are not speaking out, but they feel that we are crossing into an abyss of political discord, where there's going to be such chaos if we follow through with the kind of logic and the persecution that the left has followed against Trump. If the right were unethical and decided to turn that against the left, they would have so much material and so many people to go after. So it's not surprising that Cuomo is waking up and actively, openly rebuking this system, because the few people who are speaking out right now, they realize they cannot stand on the side of history that was going against Trump in the way that Bragg has, in the way that the special prosecution has. They know that that's a losing battle, no matter who you like, no matter what side of the political spectrum you stand on. It's a losing fight because it's such a blatant abuse of our justice system. And when people are, he's a smart guy. He's been around a lot of lawyers. He's a lawyer, isn't he, Andrew Cuomo?
I'm not sure.
He's certainly around a lot of lawyers, and he knows enough about the law to understand that for a civil society to maintain harmony, they have to have trust in their defense, and they have to have trust in the justice system. The trust in our justice system is at an all-time low because of the kind of publicity that the left is raining down on Trump and the kind of double standard that they're executing on him. So a guy like Cuomo can see the writing on the wall. If the people cannot trust our justice system, that is the beginning of the end of a civil society.
Yeah. Let me actually just read right from this, because you're saying that they're saying, wait a minute, if we do this, they're going to come back on us. Just this morning, I read that Republicans in the Senate are saying if the Supreme Court rules a president doesn't have immunity, they will immediately launch criminal charges against Joseph Robinette Biden for the death of Laken Riley, Rachel Morin, Katie Steinle, and other victims of illegal crimes. This is exactly what you're saying. is they're going to immediately say, okay, we're just going to come after you. You've got so much blood on your hands from these illegals that you've allowed in. We have a paper trail, a documented trail of you and Alejandro Mayorkas letting people into the country. We're now coming after you. It's exactly, they're just going to, the pendulum will swing back, and now the Republicans will trash the Democrat Party.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And I think that's inevitable, that the right will look at what the left is doing, and they'll see their battle tactics, and then they'll mime it, adapt it, change it, and they'll simply start going tit for tat. And that's inevitable in the grand scheme of politics and how we play it. But this is really entering dangerous territory when we start messing with it. As a student of history, I don't remember reading about a time where the justice system was this politicized. Throughout our short history, our relatively short history as a body, as a U.S. government, as a country, the faith in our justice system was so essential in maintaining law and order. And I don't recall a time when our faith has been this disintegrated to this extent, and it affects a majority of Americans. The majority of Americans, even on the left, are looking at what's happening, and they're saying, this is not right. This is being weaponized. And now, who do we trust? Where do we go? Where are we going to park our assets? We're certainly not going to do business in New York anymore. Where do we go now? Well, people are going to start relocating. And again, that's not the direction we need to go. And I don't know how quickly it can be rectified once a new administration moves in. But we used to say it starts at the top. And the guys who are at the lower levels, they're good guys. They're generally good guys. I'd say that's still generally true. But if you are someone who's working for today's DHS, if you are working for today's DOJ, and you're just standing by following orders, chasing after parents, calling them domestic terrorists while we have actual threats at our border, you're part of the problem. I don't care what level you're at. And currently we have a bureaucratic state that has filtered itself out. Even our defense, even our military, US military, they have filtered out the good guys, and they're only attracting the very people who just take orders and will not actually stand up for American rights. And that's a scary state to be in. I don't know how quickly or if it can ever be fixed at this point.
Yeah. You triggered a thought in me. When it comes to the Trump cases, you have the Trump legal team using the actual law to petition the court. Hey, listen, we're seeing bias in Judge Juan Merchan. We are seeing bias, family issues with Judge Arthur Engeron. And they say, no, these are upstanding judges. Yes, they've done stuff, but they're able to see through it and give an unbiased judgment, right? But then now you see Judge Eileen Cannon on the documents case in Florida, and they are just dragging her through the mud. Her bosses have asked her to step down. Jack Smith has asked her to step down. She just won't, because she's in Trump's pocket. It's like, again, like you say, we're losing faith in the justice system because they're now weaponizing it. They're making the judges into enemies, the lawyers into enemies. But at the same time, you then see, like, okay, yes, the Biden administration has weaponized the DOJ against a political opponent. And so I don't know. It's sad.
The weaponization that we know about is information they let us know about. What's happening behind the scenes that most Americans do not understand. We talk about the Biden family and their influence peddling overseas, which there was plenty of. And they're certainly not the first or the last political family to use a powerful family member as a way to make money overseas. They're certainly not the first or the last. It's happening on both sides. What's crazy, and I'm working on a 1-hour OAN investigative special now, which is why I've been a little underground on Twitter. I've been so infused in this investigation. What's happening now is there is a pattern inside the Southern District of New York, where somebody at a very high level inside the Southern District of New York is ensuring that the Biden name does not show up in cases where their name should show up. What this does is it ensures that the Biden name is they're never implicated in any crimes. And we're talking fraud cases, we're talking money laundering cases, we're talking bribery cases on an international scale that the Southern District of New York has prosecuted. But when they saw the Biden name, they cut it out and they made sure that it was redacted because they didn't want it to appear political. The investigation I'm working on now, I have an exclusive interview with a whistleblower who is a very high level partner in China. And the story he tells, you can just discount everything he says and say, like, I don't believe a single thing this guy says. Let's just look at the documents. Let's look at the relationships. And when you look at the documents and when you look at the relationships, it is clear there are half a dozen cases in the Southern District of New York. There's a case inside Ukraine where the Biden name pops up. They are clearly a name that is involved in the case. And the attorneys or the judge blacks it out and makes sure that the Biden name is not showing up inside that case. So then you have stories of information that should be secret inside the Southern District of New York that somehow land in the laps of the Biden family, and the Biden family then goes on and makes money off of that secret information. Insanity. This is the kind of influence peddling that's happening right under our noses. Let's just forget the influence peddling in China and Ukraine and Russia that the Bidens and the Democrats are involved in. Let's just talk about the influence peddling happening inside the justice system. And after looking at this, after looking at several cases, there's another case, another family that's been affected by the Biden family, where they go to prison, but the Bidens stay out because the name was redacted. The court played all kinds of games and split the case up so that the names were not associated with certain parts of the trial. It's a long story, but bottom line is, influence peddling is happening inside the United States right now at a very high level, inside our justice system. And it's playing out with the prosecutions, again, the persecution of Donald Trump. But what's happening behind the scenes is far more shocking than anyone would like to admit. It's like watching a really bad dream. And that investigation will be coming out in a couple of weeks. Download OAN Live to watch it. But follow my Twitter account. You'll see I'll promote it when it starts coming out. But it's stunning the amount of corruption that is happening inside the Justice Department. There's a dirty cop picky pink that is operating inside our justice system, inside our FBI, where high-level officials deal with white-collar criminals, and then they leave, they retire, and these FBI officials then go and tap those very same clients and say, hey, I can help you get out of other kinds of trouble. I still have my contacts inside the DOJ. I still have my contacts inside the FBI. It's a system and it's dirty, and no one has really exposed it for the extent that it needs to be exposed.
Wow. Okay. Well, when that comes out, I want to let my audience know about it. Okay. One last question, lightning, just question, because I know we're running out of time here. Do you think that the presidential debate here in the next few days, do you think it will be fair and unbiased based on the rules, the fact that it's CNN and it's highly biased, Trump-hating Jake Tapper? It's a kind of a rigged question because it's a rigged debate.
It's going to be ridiculous. I think the most important thing that will happen out of this debate is the American people will see the health of Joe Biden. Again, all of us are holding our breath every time we wake up and we see that Joe Biden is still alive. It is a little bit shocking because he really is on his last leg, and he's way worse in person than he is on screen. If you see this man in person, like you're like, wow, that guy should be in bed. He should not be walking around outside. How is he walking around? I've caught a few times where the staffers have clearly people say he's using drugs. I think he is having to use drugs. But I think they're also using AI to make sure that his eyes look, whenever you see those videos where his eyes aren't blinking, I believe that that's an AI software. We have AI software now that allows your eyeballs to stick on the screen. If you look away, it'll automatically keep your eye on the camera. I recognize that. I think that they're using that software on Joe Biden when he's doing pre-recorded material. And the value of this debate will be in seeing the acuity of Joe Biden. At this point, you're wondering, are they actually going to use a body double? Are they going to use an illusion? What are they going to do to get him on stage for 90 minutes? I don't know. I really don't know. And I'm shocked that he's still alive.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to cover and to watch. I want to say thank you so much for coming on. I know how busy you are. I hope that the docuseries or documentary that you're putting out is just wildly successful. Where can I point some traffic? How can we follow you online?
Do this. Download OAN Live. And I think you can still put in, if you want to subscribe to a year's worth of OAN Live, and you'll get the full lineup of our programming, including our OAN Investigates, which, by the way, we've been at the forefront of some pretty incredible stories. I broke the story connecting NIH to COVID, to the Wuhan lab, for example. We broke the Ukraine series with Rudy Giuliani, and all of those investigations you can access on OAN Live. Download it, get it on your screen. Democrats have been shutting us down left and right, so the way you can support us is subscribe to us. Get a year-long subscription. I think if you put in discount code Chanel, you should get a discount there, but it's under $50. At the end of the day, for under $50, you get access to OAN Live all the time, anywhere you want, on your big screen or on your phone. So please download that, subscribe to us, and track us on social media. Follow us on Twitter. We're at OAN, and then follow me. I'm Chanel Rion, and we'll continue to put out material. This next week, Stephen, we've got some exciting stuff happening. I can't disclose it now, but we've got a big shakeup in our programming, and we'll have some pretty exciting things that are launched next week. So Just download the app, subscribe to us, and support us online.
Okay, great. I will put a link directly to that down below. Thank you again for coming on. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Stephen, thank you so much.